Have you ever noticed how some people just light up in a crowd, while others seem to carry an invisible weight in social situations? There's a particular group of people who find their deepest peace not in the company of others, but in solitude. They're not antisocial or broken, they've simply learned that being alone feels safer than being with people. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology behind this. What creates this preference? What childhood experiences shape it? And most importantly, is this a problem that needs fixing, or just a different way of being human? Let's explore the hidden world of those who find sanctuary in solitude. To understand why someone feels safer alone, we need to go back to the very beginning, to childhood. Psychologist John Bowlby's attachment theory teaches us that our earliest relationships create templates for how we view connections throughout life. When a child experiences inconsistent caregiving, emotional neglect, or even well-meaning but emotionally unavailable parents, something profound happens in their developing brain. They learn that people are unpredictable, that vulnerability leads to pain, that showing your true self might result in rejection, criticism, or abandonment. Imagine a child who shares their excitement, only to be met with indifference, or one who cries for comfort but receives impatience instead. Over time, that child's nervous system begins to associate human connection with danger, not safety. This creates what psychologists call an avoidant attachment style. It's not a conscious choice, it's a survival mechanism. The child learns to regulate their own emotions, to solve their own problems, to expect nothing from others. And here's the heartbreaking part: this strategy actually works in childhood. It protects them from repeated disappointment. But these protective walls don't just disappear in adulthood, they become the architecture of how someone relates to the world. Connection feels risky, solitude feels controllable, and slowly, being alone becomes home. Now let's talk about what happens inside the body during social interaction. For most people, connecting with others activates the part of our nervous system associated with safety, calm, and social engagement. But for those who feel safer alone, social situations often trigger the sympathetic nervous system instead. This is your fight or flight response. Your heart rate increases, breathing becomes shallow, and your body prepares for a threat, even in a normal conversation. Why? Because past experiences have taught their nervous system that people equal unpredictability, judgment, or emotional pain. Even kind, safe people can trigger this response because the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. Psychologist Stephen Porges calls this neuroception the unconscious detection of safety or danger. For someone with a history of relational trauma, their neuroception is calibrated differently. What others experience as connection, they experience as exposure. Being alone, by contrast, allows their nervous system to finally relax. There's no one to please, no social cues to decode, no risk of rejection. The body can drop into a state of rest and digest. This is why solitude isn't just a preference for these individuals, it's a physiological need. It's where their nervous system feels regulated and truly safe. There's another layer to this: the exhausting work of social performance. Many people who prefer solitude have developed what psychologist Donald Winnicott called a false self. This is the version of themselves they present to the world pleasant, agreeable, and acceptable. But it's not truly them. Underneath lies their authentic self, which they've learned is somehow not good enough. Maybe they were criticized for being too sensitive, too quiet, too intense, or just too different. So they created a mask that fits social expectations. Wearing this mask is exhausting. Every social interaction requires energy to maintain the performance, to monitor how they're being perceived, and to ensure they don't reveal too much of who they really are. Psychologist Carl Jung spoke about this tension between our public face and our hidden parts. For people who feel safer alone, the gap between these two can be enormous. When they're alone, they can finally drop the mask. They can think their real thoughts, feel their real feelings, and exist without translation. There's a profound relief in not having to perform, explain, or justify your existence. This is why many of these individuals are highly creative, introspective, or intellectually curious. Solitude gives them access to their authentic inner world, the one they've learned to hide from others. Let's address something painful: betrayal. Many people who prefer solitude have experienced significant betrayals. Not always dramatic ones, but an accumulation of small betrayals that eroded their trust over time. A friend who shared their secrets, a parent who used their vulnerabilities against them, a partner who proved unreliable when they needed support most. Each experience reinforces a core belief: people will eventually let you down. Research on betrayal trauma shows that violations of trust by those we depend on create deeper wounds than trauma from strangers. It fundamentally alters our sense of safety in relationships. The solution their psychology offers: don't depend on anyone. Stay self-sufficient. Keep people at arm's length. This isn't coldness, it's self-protection. And there's a certain logic to it. If you never truly let anyone in, they can never truly hurt you. But this protection comes at a cost. The walls that keep out pain also keep out connection, intimacy, and belonging. It's a lonely form of safety. But before we pathologize this preference, let's acknowledge something important. There are genuine gifts that come from a comfort with solitude. People who feel safer alone often develop remarkable self-awareness. They become skilled at introspection, understanding their own minds with a depth that's rare. They're comfortable with silence, with their own thoughts, with the parts of existence that many people desperately avoid through constant distraction. Their solitude isn't empty, it's full of meaning. Psychologist Anthony Storr argued in his book Solitude that the capacity to be alone is actually a sign of emotional maturity, not dysfunction. It indicates that someone has developed a stable internal world that doesn't require constant external validation. Many great thinkers, artists, and innovators throughout history were people who thrived in solitude. Their comfort with being alone allowed them to develop ideas, create art, and explore territories that require sustained, uninterrupted focus. The question isn't whether preferring solitude is good or bad, it's whether this preference is freely chosen or defensively necessary. So, where does this leave us? If you recognize yourself in this description, know that you are not broken. Your preference for solitude makes perfect sense given your experiences. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do: keep you safe. But here's the truth: while solitude can be healing, humans are fundamentally wired for connection. Complete isolation is natural for our species, and long-term, it can lead to depression, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection from life itself. The goal isn't to force yourself into uncomfortable social situations or to become someone you're not. It's to slowly expand your window of tolerance, to find people who feel safe, to practice vulnerability in small doses, and to prove to your nervous system that not all connection equals danger. Therapy, particularly approaches that are body-based or attachment-focused, can help rewire these deep patterns. The right therapist provides a corrective experience, a relationship that's consistent, safe, and accepting. You can learn to carry your need for solitude while also allowing space for selective, meaningful connections. You can be someone who needs alone time without being someone who's completely alone. Because ultimately, the safest place in total isolation or constant connection, it's having the freedom to choose both, depending on what your authentic self truly needs in each moment. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, you're not alone in feeling safer alone. Subscribe for more insights into the human mind.